There's the button that was missing
There you go.
15
There you
minutes ago.
go. Perfect.
Or rather.
Now we are live.
It's just done. Redirecting to Facebook Live page. How excited is that? And there we are. Oh my goodness. Whew. I feel like we just gave birth.
Yes, the technology gods were not happy today.
Holy moly. All right. So if you just joined us, Amanda and I have been here for half an hour trying to work out technological issues. If you were just joining us, my name is Heather Morrison with Bold Beyond Belief. And I have, for this week's installment of Bold Breakthroughs, I have Miss Amanda. I am so excited to have Miss Amanda on today. Amanda and I met, I was trying to figure this out, how long ago this was.
It was, I think you were speaking, it was like January of 2020 at the Christian network that I was part of.
I think we also met there. And then I think we also met back at Kristen Thompson's group, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I think we more officially met at the, because it's more of an intimate grouping. But yeah, we also met, I think, at Rise 2019. Yeah.
So my point in always telling people where I meet my guest, is that networking pays off. Networking is just, you're always networking, right? Whenever you're talking to people, Absolutely. You're networking. So absolutely. Let me read Miss Amanda's bio. We'll jump right into things. Are you attracting the people you want to work with? Are you clear and confident in your brand? Let Amanda with Silver Keys Media help you unlock your story and rock your visual brand so you can start working with your ideal client. Oh, Miss Amanda, thank you so much for joining me today. I certainly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Like I said, the name of your company is Silver Keys Media. So kind of take us on the journey of where, how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I have always had a passion for visual storytelling. A lot of people go, well, how long have you been a photographer? How long have you done this? Well, probably since I could hold a camera. I was blessed to have artistic parents, so they really fostered the arts and creativity in me. I also was involved with theater and performing, and so that kind of set a journey of storytelling in a different way. And so when I decided to grow up and go to school and all of that, I actually went to school and got my degree in broadcast communications. So it was kind of a hybrid between videography, photojournalism, kind of the marketing end of storytelling. And I also got a degree in theater, and really was going to go, work for a TV or a film production company. And we were in Denver at the time. And we ended up moving back out to the Pacific Northwest where I had grown up, and I had zero connections. So I took all of my tool belt and I went to work, and I started to work with smaller businesses kind of as their marketing manager. So I utilized the storytelling I had really on the marketing end of things. And it became fascinating, especially because I was kind of at that entry point with Facebook really becoming critical and social media really becoming critical when it came to marketing. And it became that really apparent that businesses needed to have that presence. And so all of that kind of swirled together to become a passion of helping business owners really understand first their story and really understanding who they really wanted to work with, and having done a lot of training kind of along the way of knowing that knowing your ideal client, knowing who you want to work with is so important, because then you can actually help them, because you're actually talking to them, you're actually communicating with them and attracting them. And then bringing that visual side along. I got asked quite a bit when I was working, for small businesses, I would have people kind of want me to do little side hustles here and there. And I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I working the 9 to 5 and then doing this like on the weekend thing? So I decided I wanted to open my own company, and I did in 2014. And I decided to keep my day job for a while so I could start debt free, because I wanted to have videography and photography as part of what I offered. And all that gear is expensive. So I worked full time and I balanced networking and working with clients up till the end of 2017. And that's when I was just really blessed to step away from corporate and step into my own company and be able to be my own boss.
Awesome. I love that story. And I love that you talk about brand. Brand is one of those things that I think people think fonts and colors and logos and those kinds of things, but brand goes so much deeper than that. You are your brand, the way you dress, your background, right? Everything about you is your brand when you're out in the public eye. And so I love that you talk about, kind of finding your story, and also that you talk about getting in front of your ideal client, because I think especially as entrepreneurs, we start off with a scarcity mentality versus an abundance mentality. And you think everybody's my ideal client. Whoever's got a checkbook and a Visa card, I'll take it. I'm desperate, right?
Yes,
But
exactly.
it's really important for you to get in front of your ideal client. And you can't get in front of your ideal client if you don't know who they are, and you don't know who they are until you know who you are. So this is such a beautiful blend of all of your talents, and your side hustle has now become your passion, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to stop that hustle and really step into um, being able to facilitate and help other business owners, to empower them in essence of really stepping into their own brand, their own story, and understanding that importance. Because even if they aren't the ones that end up at the end of the day posting the social media, and they aren't the ones doing all the things, because we all know if we want to scale and we want to grow, we can't do it all. However, if the business owner does not have a really clear, confident grasp of their brand and their story and who they want to connect with, then it ends up being driven by someone else, and that's not always, there's not always an authenticity there. There's not always a cohesion there of what it's all supposed to be.
Exactly. So speaking of passion, what's your passion project right now? What do you got? What do you like knee deep into right now?
So I am knee deep into an independent film project. So in addition to loving that I get to use my skills in photography and videography in the business world, I do love a good film project. So last year, around the time COVID hit, we were gearing up for this anyways, and predominantly everything we've been filming is outside. And so it is a kind of suspense. There's a little bit of just adventure, and the main character, she really just deals with some hard parts of her life, but it's around Sasquatch, which is a very huge deal in the Pacific Northwest. And so yeah, we're rounding the corner of pretty much wrapping all of the film production part and going into editing full mode. And the goal is by September of this year, we'll have it ready.
I am so excited. And I love the idea that you are still working on your passion, but it's not necessarily all work focused, which I think is especially important as an entrepreneur, that we have different various outlets where we can still like sit in our zone of genius, but it's just a little shift. It's just a little, change, but it's still allowing us to get out and work with people and still allow us to work on our passion projects. I can't wait. Can you release the name, or is that top secret?
It's called Legend of the Forest, and actually I can send a link to the trailer. So we did complete a trailer, and we're gearing up for kind of some crowdfunding and hopefully looking for a distribution So
Oh, that is so cool. Oh, that is really cool. Congratulations on that.
thank
That's awesome.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's your long-term vision? Like what's your I used to say 5 year, but now since COVID hit, it's like 30, 60, 90-day vision.
We don't know vision.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like I have no what's today? I have no idea. So what's kind of like your long-term vision for your company?
Yeah, so what I would love to do, and this was the reason, partially the reason why I did not name my company my name. A lot of photographers and videographers will use their name. I have always seen Silver Keys Media as something that would be an opportunity, especially for women in in the marketing, in videography, in photography, that world, to have an opportunity to grow and utilize this craft. It's while I work with many men that are amazing, it's not always women friendly in the film and photography business, and in even the creative arts business. You'd think it would be, but it's not. And I really want to provide an opportunity that will allow women to come in and we collaborate. And my goal is to scale it so that I have a team. I have a team of videographers, I have a team of photographers, and I'm able to just kind of watch the magic happen. So it's very similar to how I've approached when I've been in theater and I've directed a production. You put all your heart into the story and all the pieces and all the details, and then on opening night as a director, you're like, okay, let the magic happen. So that's kind of where I want to be. Probably in 5 years, that would be a really good goal, to be able to sit back and just go, wow, this is amazing.
Wow. That's really cool that you had that long-term vision, even when you started your business, to not name it after yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's really, and I love that collaboration, not competition.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. The collaboration part for me has always been just so natural, and it's always frustrated me when I people hit up against people who get really, defensive and secretive, and they don't want to share, and I'm just like, do you not want to grow?
Yeah, well, that goes back to that abundance versus scarcity mentality. There's 7 billion people on the planet,
Yeah,
right? There's
there's a
room
lot.
for everybody. There's room for everybody. I love that. So, along your way and along your journey, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice I ever have received, especially as an entrepreneur, is pay yourself from the get-go. It doesn't matter if it's $25 a month. I don't care if that's what it is. If you don't get in the habit of paying yourself and valuing yourself and giving yourself goals to increase that, then it will never happen. Because I know so many business owners that they're stuck in that hamster wheel and they're literally never bringing home a paycheck. And I'm just like, then why are you doing it? Like, great, you're supporting, you have an admin assistant, you have a staff, whatever. But it's like, if all that is to support them and you're coming home like an empty shell, what's the point?
Yeah, and then you
It's
become resentful of your business, right?
absolutely, absolutely. And for myself personally, my husband and I have a really good relationship, and I know myself. I am not good at numbers, like setting realistic goals. So when I first started and we agreed I was going to quit, I said, how much do I have to pay you each month? And he's like, whatever. And I'm like, nope. How much do I have to write a check each month to you to contribute? So he told me a number. And I said, okay. So in 6 months, I'm going to double that. And it's just how my brain works. Um, but I think actually that's probably not uncommon for a lot of people, is like, if you set benchmarks, but from the very get-go, pay yourself something, because then you're telling yourself that you're worth that money, that you're
Yeah,
worth what you're
exactly.
doing.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember when I first got married, and I didn't do something. Like somebody said, "Oh, you didn't clean the garage or something." I'm like, "No. See, here's the secret. Don't start doing something unless you want to continue doing something, right?" So I
Yeah.
didn't want to clean the garage for the rest of my marriage. But that is such a true story, and especially in entrepreneurship, don't start something unless you want to continue doing that. So don't keep giving it away to other people, because it's going to be really difficult when you scale up to say,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay, at this point in time, now I'm going to pay myself," because trust me, you won't want to take that money away from the business, right? You're like,
Yeah.
"No, I've got this and I want to hire that person." And so I love that you started how you wanted to go and how you wanted to grow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was really fortunate that that was something that came to me before I went full time, jumped off the cliff and did it. So it was great.
Good for you. So what's something that's been like a habit that you consistently do that's been instrumental to your success?
Um, there's probably two things. One is personally giving myself space in the morning. I'm not an early person by nature, but I've put things in my way that get me up early enough that I have a bit of time to not just jump right into work, not jump right into the day. I have time to pray, to think through my day, even if I'm running behind and it's 10 minutes, it's still so lovely just to have vocal time. And part of that's helped that is I do time block, which seems very simple. I'm still a time block mastering the time blocking because I don't think you set a time blocking system and it always sticks. There's always you're you're doing this with life. I think last year taught us that. But time blocking, at least having something visual to show where you're wanting to spend your day and how you want to divvy up time has been so helpful. And I put everything. I put cooking dinner, I put date night, I put it all down. And people look at my calendar and go, "Ah," and I'm like, "No, no." This is my life. And if it's not visually represented for me,
Mhm.
it's not going to happen. So,
Yeah, exactly. I have post-it notes all over everything, and then I gather them up and I throw them all in my calendar because I'm like you. If I can't see it, it doesn't exist.
yes, 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 yes.
So what's something usually people ask, like, what's something you would have done differently? But the more people I talk to, the more people say, everything I did had a purpose and everything I did brought me to where I am today. So I also like to ask the question, what's something that you're really grateful that you did do in your business?
Um, I'm grateful that I gave myself enough time at the beginning and I didn't just, I kept my job. I didn't just throw my hands up in the air and leave it. Um, and I gave myself space to really understand what I wanted to offer. Um, One of the big reasons I offer brand foundation and brand strategy is part of what I do. Um, in conjunction with visual strategy is because most of the business owners I work with, I'll start asking questions if they want me to create a video, they want me to create a set of images, and they don't know like the who, they don't know foundationally their story. And I was probably one of my first best clients because when I started, I was probably really confusing on what I was wanting to offer because I had all these skills. I
Mhm.
could social media, I could web design, I could graphic. Da, 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 da.
Mhm.
I am so glad I just really boiled that down and I started to think about not confusing people, being really succinct in what I offer and coming up with a way to explain it. And so that's why I help people unlock their story and then visually translate it into images and video. So it's kind of this ebb and flow. But I think if I had not given myself time and had the stress of taking on every client and not working another job in conjunction, um, I might very well just be still doing all the things and
Mhm.
taking all the tasks and
Mhm.
working 24/7 and not really enjoying life.
Yeah. And I think that, again, that comes from that abundance mentality versus the scarcity mentality,
Yes.
because when you niche down, you realize that there are people that, build it and they will come, right? I mean, it sounds silly, but you have to simplify to amplify. And if you're continually saying, well, I work with women between the ages of 18 and 80, whoa, like that's a big demographic in there. Or I work with, all business owners. Well, again, that's a big crowd. Like, what do you specialize in? And I think that people really discount that fact, that because they think that if they niche down, there's not going to be anybody there. And my encouragement to people is, no, the right people will be there, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's the first question I ask for all projects. It doesn't matter what it is. Because if you, and I use a lot of my theater background and my film background to help people shape basically their ideal client profiles. It's basically the same thing I have utilized that I've tweaked for business that I would give if I was directing a production or I'm directing a film, and I say, here, actor, fill this out. What character are you playing? So they understand when they step into the skin of that character, who they're portraying. Well, for an ideal client, it's no different. We need to understand who they are so much that even if you don't do video, which I highly encourage you to do video of some form, but even if you don't do video and you're writing posts and you're writing blogs or newsletter, you have that person here and you start having a conversation. You start speaking to them as if you're just in the same room. And that will magnetize those people to you. Doesn't mean other people won't come your way, but 9 times out of 10, if you really want to work just with women and you want to work with women millennials, you start talking to a millennial woman, it needs to be more niche than that, but just kind of using that as an example.
Yeah.
You're not going to likely get 50 to 65-year-old men wanting to work with you. Probably won't happen.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the vibe you're putting out there, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it shapes everything else that you put out there, including the visuals.
Yeah.
Or it should.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I also think that when you do that, it's easier for the right people, to say yes to you as well, because they're like, oh my God, you're my people, versus if you are trying to niche down to that millennial woman and you've got a 50-year-old, he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? He's not going to vibe with you as much. He's not going to gel with you as much. And that makes that sale and that makes that relationship that much harder to build, because he doesn't get you. And that's okay. He doesn't have to get you. He's not your demographic. Right.
No, because you'll end up wanting to likely fire that client because you don't understand them. They don't understand you. And it becomes, I always say, if you're wanting to fire clients, you're not defined enough, and you're not like speaking to the ideal client you want, because otherwise you wouldn't be wanting to fire clients.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, Amanda, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially brand new entrepreneurs, don't think they can fire clients, right?
Right.
And you can absolutely fire a client. You absolutely. If if you're allowing stuff into your life, this is my jam. I love boundaries. If you're allowing stuff into your life that you wouldn't take from other people that weren't paying you, don't take it from someone simply because they are paying you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Awesome. So you had talked a little bit about that you were going to share a trailer with us, but I want to find out, is there anything else you'd like to share with us, or tell us what you got going on and what people can get from you, and how to work with you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I offer is, if someone is in that space where they know that they need to do something different, they're not sure what it is, or they're on a journey where they're wanting to really figure out how to visually tell their story and up level it, I do offer a discovery call that's absolutely free. And it's an opportunity to just chat. I send a form ahead of time so we can have some focus, and then I share what I do and share what I have to offer. But really, if that's all you need is a little kind of tweak, then I'm so happy to do that for people, because gets people sometimes on the right path. And I have my website's kind of, and all my email stuff is kind of like shifting over. So I do have a brand checklist that if you want, I will give an email address and I can send that to people to get that brand checklist. And really it goes over just kind of assessing where your brand foundation is. Do you have the right visuals? And gives you a place to kind of take a a temperature, so to speak, of where you're at and maybe things you need to shift. And the reason why I'm offering that and I created that is because with everything that's changed, um, our businesses have changed. A lot of businesses have changed. We've had to change how we deliver. We've had to change how we engage, and some people have even changed completely who they need to have as their ideal client, and they're just not sure how to identify that. So that's what that brand checklist, brand assessment is helpful for.
Amazingly generous. And I think that you are absolutely right. Now that everyone is on Zoom, right? We
Yes.
are, and now it's starting to break up a little bit. We'll go back
A
to
little.
some form of normal, but
Yes.
you really need to stand out, right? Because the market is there again, abundance mentality. There's enough for everybody. But now, because the marketplace is this little camera on the top of our computer, right? For now, anyways, you really need to learn how to stand out and you really need to learn how to hook people a little bit quicker than you may have in the past. So
Yes.
it sounds like doing that brand audit and having like a little strategy call with you would be a perfect kind of what good way to zhuzh up business and to make sure that they're on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do also have a free Facebook group. It's private, so you do have to just go through and answer a couple questions. But it's called Visual Vibe Society, and each month we have a theme, and then I do lives as well as offer different tools and kind of challenge or action steps that you can take towards that. So actually, last month we talked about really getting to know your ideal client, and so you'd be able to find those past kind of action steps and whatnot in that group. So I will provide a link for that as well, and you can check it out and see if it's a good fit.
Oh, this has been awesome. Wow. So you've got the trailer coming out, you got the Facebook group, you've got the brand audit, you've got the strategy call.
That
You
stuff.
are just a wealth of generosity today, Miss Amanda. I so appreciate it. And if you
Yeah.
do me a favor, if underneath the video, if you will go in and post the links to all of those, so we know they'll be exact, because inevitably I will flub something up.
Yes.
That would be great.
Absolutely can do
Yeah.
that.
So is there anything else that we didn't talk about today that you want to leave people with, or a little last minute nugget?
Um, One thing that I do want to kind of leave, just because I think it's something right now that's I'm finding as a common theme, and um, it is that your story is important, and your story is part of your brand and business is important. And many people were shying away from that before, just trying to create more of a shiny, brand with a nice packaging and all that, and not really wanting to be part of their brand. A lot of that comes with just thinking your story is not important. People don't want to hear. And now more than ever, people are connected with stories. You got to think about like how we survived this last year. um it's we're following people. We were fascinated with binge watching podcasts and series, and it's because it was stories, personal stories that people were sharing. And you need to do that in your business, because your story is important. As much as you think it may not be, it absolutely is. And your ideal audience and your ideal client will connect with you on that, and that will be magic, more than ad spends and all of those things.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that the more, and I know that's it's a real buzzword right now, but the more authentic we can be with people, like people want to connect with you knowing that it's like 2 in the afternoon. I don't know if I brushed my teeth today. The kids are still in their pajamas, right? It's cuckoo craziness. They're like, oh, okay, she's normal too, as opposed to this polished facade that you think I'll never be able to attain that because look at her. She's, well, she's got this going on and that going on. And if they
Yep.
could see what's going on behind the curtain, I think that draws people in a little closer to you. So thank you for
It
that.
absolutely does.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Miss Amanda, today. I have so missed seeing your face through all of this, and I'm going to go pop on your Facebook group. I didn't know that existed, so that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'll share all those links so that everyone can check it out and see if it's something they want to join.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for being here, and thanks, Miss Amanda, for being here. I really, truly appreciate it. And we will see you next week, Tuesdays at noon, right here on Bold Breakthroughs with Heather Morrison. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later.
Take
Bye.
care.